Okay, now we're going to carry these numbers forward as I mentioned. The asset account cash, $9,800, $9,800. Important to remember, once a debit, always a debit. Keep things in the correct column, debit or credit, based on the normal balance of each account. Petty cash, $150. Accounts receivable Ruby prints, $2,795. Pretty simple process so far, I think you would agree. Supplies. Here's where the adjustment comes into play, and the fact that our directions told us the value is now $325, and we've made that adjustment, and now we've got $325 in here as a result of a $456 debit, a $131 credit. Supplies is now $325. Same is true with prepaid insurance. It was $750, we adjusted it by $250, it is now $500, just like they ask you to do in the instructions under adjusting. Accounts payable and Gary Baldwin Capital, those amounts are merely carried forward into the credit columns now of the balance sheet. Notice how nothing is in the income statement. Everything, because we're dealing with assets, liabilities, and owner's equity, are being carried forward to the balance sheet columns of the worksheet, columns 7 and 8. Same with the drawing account. And remember here, once a debit, always a debit. Okay, don't make the mistake of carrying that forward again. You're in the habit here, maybe a couple credits. This is a debit. It's a contra account. Okay, the $3,400 there. Now we're to the account income summary, which has no balance and no importance at this point in time, except that that's where the changeover occurs. That's where we begin carrying forward our temporary accounts, our revenue and expense accounts, to the income statement instead of carrying forward to the balance sheet. And once again, sales was a $4,320 credit, stays in the credit column under income statement. Now we've got a bunch of debits coming up, but you got to be careful with these. First one's pretty easy. Advertising expense, $931. It's a debit in the trial balance. It's now a debit in the income statement. Be careful with insurance expense. Sometimes visually you look at this number as being to the right of advertising expense, and you want to put it to the right over in the columns where you are carrying forward to, and that's a no-no. You need to make sure you keep that. It is a adjustment debit. There wasn't anything in the trial balance debit. That amount, $250, stays a debit. Once a debit, always a debit. But it goes in the income statement column by rule. Temporary accounts, expense accounts, carry them forward to the income statement column. Miscellaneous expense, $378. Supplies expense, similar to insurance expense, it's offset to the right because there's no regular trial balance amount. However, be sure to keep in mind it's a debit, it's an adjustment debit, it's an income statement debit when you carry it forward. And then utilities expense.